Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us this Saturday. We are in April. Woohoo! We are definitely just slowly but surely going through 2022. Okay? And, today I have to tell you, we had a crazy, crazy thunderstorm. Most of us in the Central Florida area, most of the afternoon. So some of us will be experiencing some, Wi-Fi issues and all of that. So we just want to let you guys know in the Facebook world, if we even drop off, you know what happened. But we're not gonna claim that. We're gonna claim that we're gonna get through this. We're gonna do it really fast today because we have storms passing through. All right. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us at Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. This Saturday we're gonna be talking about understanding autism. We try to bring you information to empower you, to educate you, and and your lives. So we have our guests this evening that's going to share with us so we can understand a little bit more about autism, right? But before we get started there, let me introduce my co-host, Dr. Bavan Dabrio. Hey, Dr. Bev, how are you?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Good evening to our viewers and our listeners in the radio world and on Zoom. And we're now also on YouTube. So thank you guys for joining us once again as we celebrate autism, making everyone aware and getting the support and the help that you guys need.
Yes. And we're being joined coming in right now, Mr. Lewis Witter from Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. We'll give Lewis a few seconds as he starts to join us. We also have Dr. Arlene Adams. Hey, Dr. Arlene, looking fabulous as usual. How are you?
I am great, and I'm happy to be here with you, and I'm happy to see all our sisters and brothers. Amen.
Dr. Arlene doesn't look like she had any internet issues at all. Doesn't she look unaffected?
My computer was down.
She have some.
Okay. And then
we're saying her prayers earlier, so I guess she prayed harder than us.
I love it. I love it. Then we have Sybil Henry. Hey, Sybil, loving the background. You're muted, Sybil.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I'm looking forward to today's meeting because I also have a sister who's autistic. So maybe I can pull some vibes from here.
Right. And that's what it's all about for us. Sharing is caring, so we can understand more, and so we can help our family and friends. I see Beverly Dabrio. I see you joined us, but wherever you're at, it's a little not as clear.
Much light in your face.
I guess she's trying to say she have all the light today.
I was trying to find a better. Yeah.
Okay, so while Beverly kind of finds her spot, I see Lewis. Lewis, are you hearing us loud and clear? Lewis seems to also have technical issues. Yeah, so we'll probably have to pop back in. So let me just say welcome Lewis Witter from Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. And also this is being streamed live on Facebook at Caribbean American Diaspora. And also will be shared on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. So we've got a little challenges, but that's what life is all about, but we keep going. So let's go ahead and get started, everyone. To hear more, right? So we learn and then we pass on what we learn. So let's welcome our first guest, Carol Mulcahy. Okay, good. Welcome. And so tell us a little bit about you, Carol. Each guest is going to have about minutes to share. Tell us a little bit about you and your role in autism.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. This is exciting. I really appreciate it. I know we're having all these issues with the internet, but like you said, life is full of challenges and we're gonna do what we can. I've been teaching for the past 28, 29 years. I've always pretty much been in special education. And I really got into autism in the early 90s. I was teaching dropout prevention, 4th and 5th grade kids who had didn't like school. And you could probably tell that at some point they're going to end up dropping out. So I was with kids on that range. And we had like 3 units for students who had autism. And that was very new to me, but it intrigued me. So I used to try to work with them as much as possible, like during summer school. And I would do research on my own because I just was very interested. Got my master's at UCF in 2016 with their certificate in autism. And it was a free program called the ASD Project. So that was exciting for me. And I've been a behavior specialist the past 13 years, and this is my first year going back into teaching. I teach with Dr. Dabrio at Hospital Homebound, and we have a lot of kids that are on the spectrum and also had cognitive disabilities on top of having ASD.
Wow, that's very impressive. Thank you, thank you. So
I don't know if I froze or anything because I could tell it.
No, you were good. So in your daily work with autism, what have you learned that you can pass on to us?
Well, people need to realize like they don't grow out of it. It's part of who they are. They have major problems with communication, social communication, a lot of times having eye contact difficulty, difficulty with back and forth conversations, trouble understanding others. It has a lot to do with language. The more that you can incorporate, I'm sorry.
That was someone else's audio.
Oh, okay. You really need to incorporate as much visuals as you can. I came out of, this more side of the behavior part of it, since I was a behavior specialist. And I was actually a behavior specialist for emotional behavior disability students. So students who have had behaviors, because of emotion, different emotional mental health issues. And then they started putting in students with autism into our units. And even though they all had the same behavior, kind of the same behaviors, it is different. So I had to learn pretty quickly on what to do and how to treat them. And it had a lot to do with their understanding of language. So I found a really great website. It's called Everyday Speech, and it's visual videos for social skills. It does cost, I spent $200 a year on it when I taught social skills, but it was so worth it. It has games, it has tons of videos on how to act appropriate socially. And it really helped those on the spectrum, but those who are on the spectrum who are verbal. It wasn't for the nonverbal students. But I would definitely, if you guys want to check it out, it's called everydayspeech.com. And they do have free trials. They have free videos. They have free worksheets that go along with the videos. So that, and another great resource that I use, and I even use it now if I need to, going into certain students' homes. If you don't know about it, it's called pbisworld.com. And it's got tons of different interventions to use with students. Fantastic website, pbisworld.com. Definitely check it out. It's free. It's awesome. I don't hear anyone, so I don't know if anyone can hear me.
Yes, we can. Miss Carol, you mentioned earlier in the statement that the kids doesn't get out of it. And I do have some parents and teenagers that are listening right now that wants to get a better understanding. So they have the social and communication downfalls, and how, rather than saying, okay, we can't get out of it, so we have to learn to live with it, or how do we deal with it? Is there anything that you would like to share? I know you gave 2 websites, which was very useful.
Yeah, definitely. They also, if you just Google social stories, they're not an evidence-based, that's not an evidence-based strategy. However, it's a very, very good, some students or that are on the spectrum or not even on the spectrum, they worked really well. They have like all different types of social stories that you could just download, print out. You could even Google and teach yourself. I taught myself how to write my own social stories using something on Google, because usually when you write social stories, it really needs to be specific to that child. So social stories are great, but like, I had one student who was in a regular classroom and he was in kindergarten and he was on the spectrum. So I used to write those social stories for him for different things that he was having issues with in the classroom. And those were like the Bible to him. I mean, he loved it. Then I had another student that it didn't work. So just like every student on the spectrum is different, so are the strategies. You have to just see what works, what works best with your student or your child. That's why I gave that one website, pbisworld.com. It's all free. You just click on it. It'll say, if your student or child is having this issue, and they give you a whole bunch of different strategies to try out that are specific for that particular behavior, which is awesome.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Carol. We do appreciate it. And thanks. And you can hang in there. We'll have more questions.
I hope I can answer them.
Well, we have some other specialists here. So that's all. It's a collaborative work. And we love what we do. And that's why we do it. Absolutely. So information is always, we're empowering each other and sharing knowledge. So giving those information out. We have technical issues. So we're just going to try and at least get everyone to give their little spill and then move back and forth. I know next we have Miss Nikki. Okay, you can give us a little background about you, what you're doing presently in the school.
Okay, I own a K-12 private Christian school. Maybe 80% of our students have learning exceptionalities. The reason I got into, the reason I opened this private school in 2016, for one, my kids were being bullied, not by students, but by teachers. Teachers not willing to give them that extra time, that one-on-one teaching that they needed. My son was easy. My daughter, she had some issues. My youngest daughter, she's like almost like on a genius level. But our motto on our website, one book does not teach all. My background at first was behavior health. My mom, she has her PhD in human studies and behavior. Growing up, I had issues with mental health. So that's one reason why my mom and myself got involved with that. So once I opened the school, I realized that a lot of students did have learning exceptionalities. So, instead of having like an ESE classroom, we put everybody together, because I don't want anyone feeling as though someone is better than them. Like, why am I in this classroom? Why can't I be in this classroom learning with others? And, we have some that are high functioning, some that are low functioning. I've had a 16-year-old with pull-ups. And could not speak. He had speech, he had a device. When maybe 4 years after being with us, he no longer needed the device. He no longer needed the pull-ups. And he was saying, like, he was saying complete sentences. We teach ASL for some of our students who have speech impairments. So we do, my son teaches that. That's something that he does. He's one of our teachers. He teaches, he mixes it up. He teaches a lot. He really does ASL. We're Christians. He does Bible. A lot of parents come to us and they're like, well, my child has autism. They can't learn because we don't put English on there or language arts. We put E&C because he does. He mixes in with some college courses in there because we're getting them ready to be self-sufficient, not, for us to hold them back. They're not there for us to just receive a check or tuition money. We're getting them ready for the real world. And like we explained to the parents, some parents, they're like, oh, my child has autism, or my child has ADHD, or my child has a disability. That's fine. Let's work with it. You're not going to always be here. And that child really needs to be able to be self-functioning, be able to do whatever they can out there in the world. Our goal is not to fail our students. Our goal is to pass our students. Some students are sitting there we could have 10 kids in the classroom and they all could be doing different on a different learning sheet, but they don't know. They think they're doing, they think they're all on the same level. So, we have students that come from other schools, from public schools, that don't read or write. But when they're there, we're teaching them. We work with the therapists. We have different therapists that come out, speech therapists, behavior therapists that come out and work with the students. And like I tell the therapists, don't just come here, and work with them. Let's all work together. Let's see what we can do to get this child up and ready for the real world. So that's what we do.
What you do? Okay, awesome. I like something that you said that stood out is with the parents, you tell them one day you're not going to be here. And a lot of times I use that little statement there to wake up my parents. I said, what happens when you didn't wake up this morning? That child has to care for himself. You want them to have at least that basic functional everyday skill. Even though we're educators and yes, we're teaching and reach for the stars and all that, there is another exception to that rule that you must have. We're teaching, it doesn't matter, all areas. We have, I know, for example, Beverly will speak next, and she works in all areas. People think, well, oh, you're just a behavior analyst, and this is what you do, working on just behaviors or negative behaviors, but it encompasses so many things like, your eating, your speech, the party, things that you mentioned earlier. And that is so, so important for our parents and just the individuals who are listening, the young people, the kids, taking it to a higher level or to the next level, motivation. Okay. So is there anything else that you'd like to talk about specific with ASD? Since we're celebrating ASD Autism Month. And this is Miss Nikki, because then we'll have Miss Beverly come.
Okay, I'm sorry, I muted myself again.
No.
Just with the ADHD, with ASD, I'm sorry. I just want parents that are listening to know, don't be a hindrance to your child. To the who's ever listening, just because you have this autism spectrum disorder does not mean you cannot be self-sufficient. Does not mean you can't live a normal life.
Okay. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners your information once more with a phone number so they can reach out? They can go online and visit the school?
Yes, Masters Training Academy. Our website is mtainc.org.
Okay. We will put all this on Facebook. I think there is a link already circling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please sit tight and hang in and feel free to join. This is an open conversation. We vibes, we educate, we learn from each other, and we share the good news. We are on Facebook, also Caribbean Rhythm Network Radio Network. Mr. Lewis, would you like to give us a word?
I believe Lewis was also having some technical difficulties.
Okay, I just realized that.
But Lewis, let us know once you're able, if you're able to join in with us. Thank you so much, Nikki. Really appreciate all that you do. And man, owning your own school, that's a big accomplishment. You and your mom, thank you so very much. And your son and your daughter is already also teaching. So you just following in your footsteps. So, big ups to you. I see Lewis is on. Lewis, we see you. No. No, his audio is still.
Hopefully we can circle around and get a tune from him later.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Dr. Bev.
All right, we're going to continue. We're going to move along. I see a visitor here at 407. The phone number is showing up. I don't know. Would you like to say something?
Her name is Sonia. This is a friend of mine.
Okay.
And she's here just listening in for information.
Okay, Miss Sonia, thanks for visiting.
Hi, thank you.
But you see, she has her pencil, so she's taking notes.
One of my good students.
Yeah, I'm taking info. Yes, my name is Sonia, and I'm trying to, get as much info as I can. I have a son who is he's gonna be 30 years old, and he have autism, and he's also mentally challenged. He's a lot of different stuff. He's nonverbal, and it's been a task, but
yes, it is. That Carol and I work in that field every day, so
yes,
we do understand and truly appreciate you taking the time to gain that expertise, because that's power.
Yes, trying to get as much knowledge.
Okay,
yeah,
sweet.
Even though it's been about almost 30 years, but
you made it 30 on. You can do this.
Yes. I reached this far.
That's right.
Yes, and he's doing good. Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
We have a couple other people too. I see Marinelle, and I only see Galaxy A. So since you ladies are on, before we move on to Beverly, do you have a personal story or question that you would like to ask?
Miss Galaxy, thanks for joining us all the way in Brooklyn. So we got 2 New Yorkers in the house today. They're not from New York. One from St. Vincent and one from Dominica.
Love it.
All right. You want to say hi, Miss Marilyn?
Hi, just on here to say hi. I'm presenting next week, or I'm sharing next week.
Okay.
So I want to support. I have like noise in my background right now, so I have to stay muted.
No problem.
I do have an adult daughter that's on the autism spectrum. So everything that's being discussed and shared, I'm very familiar with.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Dawn, would you like to say something? If not, Lois, are you available? His camera is off, so I'll just wait until his camera come on. And let's use this time to try to beat the weather. Dr. Adams, I will come to you after, but let's hear from our autism specialist, Beverly Dabrio, who's gonna bring whatever she didn't hear earlier. She will help us out here. Bev?
Hello. So I am Beverly Dabrio. They call me Miss Beverly. I am a board certified behavior analyst. I work primarily with children, and children means 0, even at birth. So in terms of autism, yes, you can detect autism before a child is 1 year old. Things like lack of babbling, things like having a blank there. Things like crying a lot, crying a lot for no apparent reason. Those things are all signs of autism. So yes, autism can be detected very early. For the most part, I would not suggest that you get an autism diagnosis early for a child who is under 1 year old. I would wait maybe 2 years old is it's a better time. Also, what happens with disabilities is that a lot of disabilities has the same signs and symptoms. So you may think it's autism when it is actually a different disability. Like I said, I am a behavior analyst, and the good thing with behavior analysts, we don't treat disorders, we don't treat diseases, we treat the behaviors itself. So whether your child has ADHD or autism or Down syndrome, I'm not trying to cure them of any thing. So I'm just focusing on what behaviors the child have, and especially if the behaviors are preventing the child or the family from moving forward, those are the behaviors I target. Yes, Bevan said earlier that a lot of analysis that we only work on challenging behaviors, but we work on everything, because in our eyes, everything is behavior. So speech is behavior, walking is behavior, the way you eat, your diet, that is a behavior. Everything you do is a behavior. I can go even further, but some of you guys won't believe me when I tell you something is a behavior. So basically everything for me is a behavior. So I have certain specialties, but pretty much is all around. And that's because I work with the little ones a lot of times, and I'm going to target everything that they need help with. The thing with autism is that the early intervention is very important. So addressing those deficits, and it's not also deficits, because that's another myth. We think it's only deficits that the kids have. Some of the kids have excesses. So sometimes it's not about not doing it, but it's about doing it too much. So I look at the whole child and all the symptoms, all the behavior, and that would be my target, especially the ones that are more troubling to the family, especially the ones that are preventing the kids from learning. So I'm not trying to change your kid. I'm just trying to make your kid function in this world, in this society. I want your child to be able to function. And I'm sure you want the same thing. And the earlier we get working, the earlier we get started, that makes a world of a difference. So I know you might have heard from some of your friends or even some professionals to wait and see, but I don't know what you're waiting for, because I'm not, and I definitely, I'm not suggesting that you give your child anything or do anything that is harmful to your child. So whatever teaching you do, because that's what behavior analysis does, it teaches the child things. So whatever teaching you're going to do for a child, that is not dangerous. All children are taught, right? And you're teaching your children throughout the day and all the time, whether they have autism or not, right? It's just that if they have autism and you're providing ABA, it may be more strategic. That's the only difference. But your is basically teaching your children the skills that they don't have. And some of those skills, we may see them as minor skills, like being able to sit in the same position or a chair for 2 minutes. We may see it as a minor skill. Being able to feed yourself, right? You guys think is a minor skill. What's wrong? I can feed him. I can feed him until he's 8 years old. That's fine. But what happens with skills is that skills are things that build upon each other, right? So being able to sit, that's getting you ready to go to school, to sit in a chair, right? Being able to hold your fork, your spoon, usually it's a spoon, being able to hold your baby spoon and feed yourself, it's helping you to grip things, right? And that's also preparing you for school in terms of taking a pencil and writing. So you just have to be careful not to think like, okay, these things are little minor things, because these things are the foundation. Your child is building foundational skills, early learning skills when they're very young. So you can't just ignore it and say, I'll get to that later, because you're creating a deficit. That's what you're creating. If there's nothing to build on, if there's no foundation to build on, then there's nothing to build on. Also, as far as the diagnoses, I would suggest before families get a diagnosis from a doctor that they need to really do their homework. Talk to people that you know. If you reach out to a professional, most professionals will talk to you for 15 minutes for free. So most professional has a 15-minute grace period where they will talk to you and answer some of your questions for 15 minutes. So reach out to people, reach out to the CDC. The CDC website has good information on autism and other disabilities like ADHD. So that's a good website that people can, and it's evidence-based. So they put in things there that's evidence-based. All right, I'm gonna take a breather. With autism, you're gonna get a lot of information on the internet. A lot of that information isn't trusted. A lot of that information is basically marketing, because there is an autism industry. So you have to be careful not to fall victim to basically the autism industry. So you want people who have consistency, people who have been in the autism field doing the work for a long time. Don't be fooled by these fantasy people who promise you that they can cure autism in 6 months. That is not going to happen. It takes time. It's a slow process. And the good thing about behavior analysis, what we do in front of you. So what we do, we're also teaching you. So it's something that you can continue to do even when we're not there. We're not going to lock your child in a room and say, we're providing therapy. No, it's also you're part of the process. You're going to learn to do the things, because when something occurs and the therapist is not there, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? So you need to know what we're doing with your child. And I'm sure most parents are going to practice those things also with their children. So I'm going to take a break and let someone else go, and you guys can come back to me later on. Thank you.
So question is, it needs the involvement then of the family, and everybody needs to understand, because sometimes I believe as parents we can get frustrated and scream at the child or spank the child, discipline the child, when it's not it's autism. So I think at some point the family, after the diagnosis even, should get support. They should get understanding, right? Is there groups like that? I'm sure there are groups like that with ongoing.
There are a lot of autism support groups for parents. But if you do attend those groups, please do your homework. Please have your own philosophy. when you go to those groups, because you don't want to be persuaded by someone who may not know the science. So you're still gonna have to help yourself, reach out to people who you trust, and be open-minded. Because the thing about therapy, and that's just not therapy for children with autism, that's therapy in general. The thing about therapy is that there are therapies that appear to be good or not the best ones. So the fact that your child likes the therapy, it doesn't make it a good therapy. The fact that you like the therapy does not make it a good therapy. So you need, what are the goals you have? You need goals. What do you want to accomplish? And then you need to judge the therapy. You need to judge whether or not it's successful based on those goals that you have for yourself, not based on how you feel, how the therapist feel, or how the child feels. That's really irrelevant. And I have children, and I like to ask my children these test questions, and they will give me some really good answers. Children, not only my children, children I work with, they give me some really good answers when I ask them questions. So so in terms of whether the child likes to go to therapy, or whether the child may be hesitant to go to therapy and not falling, let's say, victim to that, think about how many things that kids don't want to do that's good for them. Mm-hmm. And I asked my son, and he gave me a list. Not go to school. Kids don't want to go to school a lot of times. What about the dentist? Kids don't want to go to the dentist a lot of times. What about the doctor getting those checkups, those shots, right? Immunizations. Kids refuse to do things that they have to do that is good for them all the time. So you as a parent, you can't be putting the responsibility on your child to know what's good for them. So you have to encourage your child, and sometimes it's not going to be an easy road, but whoever says that the easy road is the correct road. So you just have to have faith, know that you're doing the right thing. And like I say, in ABA therapy, it's open, and you can view what's going on. You can see what's going on, learn the techniques, and it's very clear as to what's going on. Will your child refuse to go sometimes? Yes. I'm a therapist who work with children. A lot of times they don't want to see me, but that's all a part of the change. Change is difficult. You're asking them to change. You're asking them to do things differently. Even grown-ups, we refuse change. So children refuse change, but if that is what is in their best interest, they will thank you later on.
Thank you, Bev. So someone just goes to the doctor, they get that diagnosis, your child has autism. What do you suggest to direct that person right now? They just heard the news, they have no idea what to do, who to reach out to. I mean, how do you even guide a parent through that diagnosis?
How does the parents wrap their head around that and take the next right step?
Well, so the right step, I would say, is to call, if your child is 0 to 3, to call the state's early intervention. That is called Early Steps. It's run by the Department of Health. So that's from 0 to 3 years old. Their services are free. So that's where you can start, where the service is free, because you don't have to be bothered with locating or securing health insurance. If your child is 3 years old, there is early pre-K in the public school. So you need to reach out to the public school, get an evaluation, and get your child in early pre-K. So the school also, for older children, the school have support systems. They should have services speech, behavior, they should have all these services available. If sometimes you may have to push them. I know we have some people from the school system here, but sometimes you have to, sometimes you have to push them, hopefully not too much, but the schools are supposed to provide services for parents. After that, you can reach out to your insurance company and see how much services you can get through your insurance company.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. Is there anything, and I'll pass it back over to you, Dr. Bev. Is there anything that the family can be doing as far as, okay, food or exercise? Is there anything different or any type of food that we should avoid or, stay away from?
Okay, so in terms of food and autism, not really, because the food is, there's no evidence, not even close to any evidence that the food is causing autism. But the reality is bad food is hurting all of us. So all of us need to eat healthy. Children with autism, they may have selectivity, like where they don't want to eat certain textures or certain items. They tend to like dry foods, pizza, French fries, fried chicken. They like fried things. They like junk food. So they tend to like these things. But as we know, these things are not the most nutritious things. So you may want to work at expanding that diet, because like I say, if you don't build that foundation, it's going to be difficult later on. So you can't have your children just eating the junk food. You will have to add some, some carrots and some vegetables, even fruits to their diets. So, but as far as food is causing autism, no, but food is causes all of us to act a little strange, right? So we want to eat healthy. So, but it's not directly related to autism, but the eating difficulties or the feeding difficulties, those things are related to children with autism. So they do have a lot of feeding issues.
Exercise help?
Well, exercise, we all should be exercising, right? Not just people with autism, right? Because if you don't exercise, we know the consequences. We all know. So, diabetes, all those stuff. So we all should be exercising. A child with autism doesn't need any exercise, any extra exercise. They need to do activities just like every other child needs to do activities. They need to be out there playing and socializing, running up and down. And that goes for every child. So there's no special exercises that's going to help them function better. They can use some things that will help them with their focusing if they have a problem focusing. So if you have activities or something where, games that can help them to focus better than those things, but you should go directly for the target. I think a big thing that a lot of people get wrong is like having some mythical thinking, like autism is some fantasy disorder and it's so complicated and everything. If your child can't use the bathroom, teach him or her how to use the bathroom. If your child has a problem talking, help him with his speech. So go exactly for the targets. Don't try to change your brain or change your heart or change things that you can't evaluate. Just go straight for the target, straight for what you want to happen. So if you want your child to read, don't do activities like some rolling on a ball, jumping a rope, taking a walk to help your child to read. You need to get a book, go through it slowly with your child, teach them how to read, target reading directly.
Wow. You know, my computer had dropped off earlier after we started, and we had a question. What actually contributes to the child becoming autistic?
Is it my question?
Well, I'll come back to you, Beverly. Carol, I saw you.
I don't think they really know right now. I mean, there's all different theories, but there's no definitive answer, unfortunately.
So, okay, so there's a lot of theories, and one definitive we do have is genetic. So, because there are genetic disorders like Fragile X, which is the #1 cognitive challenge disorder. You know, we change the names all the time, but it's cognitively challenging, I call it. So the Fragile X is a genetic disorder, and most of the children diagnosed with autism have also been diagnosed with Fragile X. So that is one genetic condition that is associated with having autism. But then there's other speculations like the environment and, you know, early term birth, something happening to the mother when she's pregnant. Maybe if the mother is on prescription medication during pregnancy, all those things seem to be factors, but genetic actually plays a role for sure.
All right. Thank you. Does anybody have any additional questions or questions even how to deal with your daily, since you've got several experts on? Any?
Actually, I would like to ask one. I've been waiting for an opportunity to do so. I know, Dr. Bev, you have one more speaker. So it's just a general question. Anybody can answer. How do we deal with like the general public, for example, maybe at church or maybe at my house when the child is at home and, you know, sometimes they exhibit certain type of behaviors like, you know, Beverly talked about, maybe in a Sunday school class. And how do we respond to them? Give us some tips of what we can do, you know, ways that we can make them feel inclusive. Because a lot of times they will be maybe a little bit louder than the normal child. They maybe will not want to sit as long. How can we deal with them to make them feel more inclusive or to make them feel like they're part of, you know, whatever is going on?
If you're talking about like a Sunday school, or I mean, first of all, you got to figure out what the behavior is, find out what the function is, but to make them feel more part, I mean, if you know they can't sit that long, when I taught, I always had a calming area in the back of my room, somewhere where they knew that they could go when they needed to move around or do something different, or give them something to hold on to in their hand. I mean, it really depends on the child. And the behaviors. Definitely, I would go over the expectations, definitely visual expectations of what's expected.
Say, for example, you have a, like Sunday school is a great example because there's children from all different ages, maybe in the same classroom, but also while you are in the church service, I'm asking for that type of setting because it's away from the classroom, just so we have a different idea. Say you're in the middle of a church service or whatever, and the child is, I don't want to call it acting out because not necessarily acting out, but he's just exhibiting, you know, he's probably bored or I don't know, and he's just louder than, you know, a normal child would be. Or how do we deal with it? Because some people always turn around and look, you know, and make
because
the
they
child,
don't understand. They don't
so
understand.
that's what I'm asking about. How do we deal with that?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyone is welcome to answer that, but I know exactly what you're talking about because I had a classroom with 7 ASD students, and even other teachers would look at me crazy, like when I'm walking to the cafeteria, or when one of my students, you know, and they would look at me like, "Lady, can't you shut this child up?" That's
I don't get that.
That's the face that they give me, and I had to go to my and say, you know what, we need sensitivity training. So I do know what you're talking about.
Very well. They don't understand, or maybe someone could, I used to go into the classrooms, regular ed classrooms, because there was a lot of students with autism in regular ed classrooms. And I would go in and before I knew that child was going to be there, knew he was going to come, I would go and talk to the class.
Yeah.
Teach them what autism is and what, and I showed them a video. There's one on YouTube. If you just like Google, what does it feel like to have autism? And it shows, it's like really having your sensory, it's like having a panic attack almost. The lights, the loud noises, it's very overwhelming for them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
I wish I could be more specific, but I think it's just teaching them.
I can't remember the name. I have a copy somewhere, but I'm gonna look for it before the end of the meeting. There is a wonderful autism program that you can show the kids about autism and what autism is, so they have some type of understanding.
Wonderful. Thank you.
As far as the adults are concerned who are looking and doing whatever, you can't help them. They're too far gone. But for the children, you can educate them. And all children, if anyone is listening to this and they have children who don't have autism, you guys also have a responsibility to teach your children that when you see someone is lonely, when you see someone plays alone, you need to play with them. So the rest of us need to teach our children that you need to play with children who have autism. So we're all involved here.
I'm glad that you're saying that, because people think that but they like to be alone. No, they don't. They want to have friends. I had students last year in my middle school, and I taught social skills, and they would come to me, and they were on the spectrum. And that's what we worked on, having conversations, what to say, how to form a friendship. I had one student and he really wanted friends and he really wanted a girlfriend. He was 8th grade. That's what you're supposed to do in 8th grade. Good job. So I would draw a lot of pictures for him, because they learn a lot, with using pictures. So, I'm glad that you said that, because they want friends. They don't want to be alone. No one wants to be alone.
Right. So, Miss Nikki, would you like to add to that? I think you want to hear from the classroom experience.
Yes, I wanted to say to Miss Sybil, when as for your Sunday school class, sometimes it could be helpful for you to create a form where the parents could put, you can ask that question: is your child diagnosed with any type of learning exceptionality or any type of disability? And that helps you in the process. And what I also do, if, I purchase different sensory toys and sensory items, but if I'm not able to do that at the time, like if we're on the playground, I would pick up maybe a stick or something so they can feel it. Or I always keep a balled up piece of paper in my hand, and I tell that student, if they're struggling with something, I said, just keep balling until it's flat. You have to give them other things to do. You have to take that focus off whatever they're going through at that time onto something else. And I also wanted to say that every student, just like my motto at my school, one book does not teach all. So there are thousands of different types of autism. So just because two students are in the classroom, like I explained to my teachers a lot, just because we have 2 students sitting here with autism does not mean they're going to be, they're going to learn the same, because autism is different for everybody. And I also explained to my parents as well, because a lot of times with students with autism, like if a teacher isn't there, that just disrupted their entire day. Or if this student is too loud, I get the little ears, so you can purchase those too for autism. You put it there and it like cancels the noise for them. We just have to actually, like I tell the parents, we're going to modify what we do and we're going to accommodate. So mostly with students with autism, we're mostly accommodating that, that student to, like I say, help them try to be self-sufficient, or if not, help them try to be, able to learn, at a different pace, at a higher pace than what they were at the beginning. So it's just so many things like I do when school, like the first day of school, we do videos, and I incorporated this into my curriculum as well. We teach students about the different disabilities, different things, because everybody's coming from something different. And I also tell them too, because you can have students with autism who acts out, but it's not the autism. And I try to explain that to the parents too. Sometimes it is behavioral. If like I have a student, one particular student, he wants candy all the time, but his mom and dad is like, no, Miss Nikki, he's not allowed to have candy. So I say, no candy. He'll scream at me, and like I explained to him, I said, no, that's behavior. That's not, I tell the parents too, that's not necessarily the autism. And you have parents that would say, oh, it's because of their disability. It's because of their disability. You have to do this and you have to do that. And I always redirect the parents as well. The same way I went out and researched and learned and took classes and got my degree, the same way you guys need to, you need to learn, just like Miss Beverly said, you need to know as well what your child has, or what, I'm pretty sure parents go out and research different, if the doctor says your child has a cold, you're going to research what type of medication you need to give that child. And what we also do is we create ISPs, which is individual service plans, because they can't always receive an IEP from, especially me being a private school. So I create short-term goals and long-term goals. We do those together. I do that with their parents, and I do it with the therapist if that student has a therapist. If not, and I know that student needs therapy, then I will give them that therapist information, the one that I think that would suit that student best. So.
Awesome job, Miss Nikki. I know you said you're doing ISPs, and if that works well for you and it's not broken, but you didn't have access as a private school to the IEP, but you are entitled, each district provides you with that. The student parents can call the district, and we have to make accommodations to give that IEP meeting, even though you are in the private setting.
Yes.
So I know you can share that information with parents.
Thank you.
Wonderful information. This forum is all about us bringing the professionals and experts so we can educate the community, empower the community and families, right? So we hope that today's lesson really was a lesson, that you found some tidbits and you got some ideas and suggestions on how you can make your life, your home life, and also if your home is affected, you can also teach your children on how to be caring and loving to others. Maybe not just even an autistic child, but anyone, because you don't know. And so it's a great way to continue to spread love and compassion, especially at that young age. So we definitely hope that you got some tips. Any last questions as we wrap up? And
everybody can get a minute to any final thought or message you would like to send out there. But we'll start with Dr. Adams. Is there anything that you would like to share?
I just want to applaud all our presenters for doing an excellent job as always to bring to our knowledge information that is pertinent for such a time as this. Growing up all my years, I probably met one person with autism. In education over the years, many of our nursing students, graduate nurses, they struggle with children, even more than one, with meeting the needs of these children that they have. that need this holistic approach. And thank you, all our presenters. I said, wow, for such a time as this, I don't know what it is, but whatever is out there, we're seeing more and more and more children with these disorders and the challenges. And Miss Nikki, hats off to you. Carol, hats off to you. Dr. Bevan and all the others who work to care for these young people, providing a holistic approach. I salute you. And to the parents, for those who are struggling, we applaud you. And one sister said 30 years or whatever. It takes strength and wisdom and knowledge and perseverance and determination and everything that you have, you know, with the challenges. I like what Nikki was saying about some child was acting out, the refocusing. And also, you can't get a candy, but is there something else that the child can get? Maybe a little piece of fruit. So just don't say no. Have an alternative.
Yes, awesome. That fruit does make a big difference.
A little something, a little juice.
Experience I had to introduce the fruit. Stop bringing the Twinkie to my class. Bring a banana or apple or some kind of fruit. And trust me, that cuts a lot of the behaviors. So even though it has a direct impact on the autism, the behaviors like someone mentioned earlier. Awesome. Thank you.
We have a question from Facebook asking what is the difference, or what is IEP versus ISP? Can anyone answer that?
So the IEP is individual educational plan, and all they did was for the SP is to replace the E with the S and put service plan. So we have each of our students that has an IEP, they get special services. So in the private setting, they give them ISP, which is also individual service. So we have to give them, like someone, most of the speaker mentioned today, that even though you have 3 or 4 students in that classroom with autism, they all function differently. They have different strengths and different weaknesses. So yes, right now I'm writing 3 IEPs as we speak, 1 for each week of my birthday month. Yes, but it is the law, and they can travel with this from state to state, and we have to respect it and provide services to those students. So that is what the IEP and the ISP is.
Kudos.
Wow. Okay. Sue.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something. As you said, final thoughts. I'm a little distracted today, so
no problem.
That's why I'm like on and off. But one thing I want to add is how important it is for parents with children that have autism or different behavioral issues to care for themselves, be knowledgeable about what their children is going through, the different stages, because when you are knowledgeable, then you don't get frustrated. When you are a frustrated parent and always yelling and screaming, kids feed off of that and it creates chaos in the home. It's important for them to have like a nighttime routine, a morning routine. Kids with autism work on routines. I remember when my daughter was younger, I could not rush her. So she had the school bus pick her up at 6 a.m. in the morning. I had to get up at 4 because her shower would be like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, like everything has to be perfect. And if I said the school bus was there, she shuts down because she wouldn't be rushing. So I had to know that I had to get up at 4:30 and sit down and let she take her time to go through her morning routine, which would be maybe 2 hours. If not, I would have to drive her to school, and driving her to school was opposite where I had to go to work. So I had to make sure that I had a nighttime routine and a morning routine, because just looking for 1 pair of socks in the morning could take up 5 minutes if you don't know where it is. So having structure in your home, and as a parent, having a lot of patience, having a lot of knowledge about behaviors that's gonna happen and how you're gonna center yourself to be able to deal with that. Also, I just wanted to add that there was like a child in our church that had autism, and sometimes she would just run up to the platform and would act out. We all knew that that was her behavior. And even if it appeared distracting, or it was distracting, but we were knowledgeable of that. And in order for this family to come to church, we couldn't make them feel uncomfortable because it's nothing they could do about it. So it's really be knowledgeable. When you have visitors, you put a disclaimer, Rachel might be a little bit busy today, or Joseph might be a little bit busy today, but this is the community we have. We have a safe space for them. And just to be knowledgeable, because people get very frustrated. And when you see other people are frustrated at your situation, you tend to be more stressed as the parents. So parents, even if you don't have an autistic child or a child with a behavioral problem, you should be sensitive to what that is. And don't just say, oh, this kid is rude. They don't sit down, especially Caribbean and West Indian families. Everybody's rude. Everybody don't listen. Everybody is spoiled. Everybody's spoiled. So definitely have to educate our parents about self-care and the importance of routine and structure.
All right. Thanks, Miss Bryan. That is so meaningful, because structure is everything for our clients, those clients with ASD. Structure, you turn left instead of right, and it throws the whole day off. Okay, so who's next for the last minute words? And we are wrapping it up.
We do have a question on Facebook that says, do you do assessments for behaviors or just referrals? I'm not sure who that's to, though.
Okay, I think that would be Beverly. So the answer is yes, and they can reach out to Beverly. Anyone else here that does that? I know we all are educators, we teach, but Beverly she's a analyst, so that's what she does.
Okay.
And she will, like she said, you can get that 15 minutes, 30 minutes counseling, or ask your questions and get the proper referrals. Okay.
All right. So we'll be leaving everyone's information.
We will leave that information, and you can reach out. And she's at Abilities Unlimited. Abilities Unlimited. Or Dabrio, Dabrio @yahoo.com.
Awesome. All right.
Anyone else?
So
we heard from Miss Nikki. We heard from everyone. Anyone else? Any of our viewers, listeners, or regular? Go ahead, Bev.
So I didn't give my final word. So Miss Nikki spoke about, and it was Miss Nikki and the other teacher spoke about the child calming themselves. So I just wanted to add to that about, not only your child don't, your child has everything on them to calm themselves also. So in addition to the squishy toys, the rubber balls, everything, sometimes those things are not available. So what I teach my clients, I teach them how to use things that are on their body that they have with them all the time. I teach them how to calm themselves using their own body. So that's also in addition to what she said. It's not just the squishy toys. You can also teach them things that they can do, breathing exercises to calm down, stretching exercises to calm down. So they can also use their body in addition to those items, because those items are not always available. And as far as, I also wanted to add something about children with autism not liking friends, and I wanted to agree that yes, they do like friends. It's not the problem with the friendships, is that they have difficulties. And how do these difficulties begin? It begins very early. And like I said earlier, one thing builds upon the other thing. So think about it, you're a child and you have a speech delay, and you're on the playground with other children. You're only 4 years old and you're on the playground with other children, but you're trying to engage them. You're trying to talk to them. You're trying to get them to chase you, but your speech deficit is preventing you. Because by the time the child is not going to stand up and ask you to explain yourself, say it again. They're not going to do like adults do. If you don't get it right the first time, if you don't communicate right the first time, loud enough and clear enough, the child is on to another child. I've watched this many times. The child is off with another child, and they're not trying to ignore you. They're not trying to be mean, but your message couldn't come out quickly enough. So after a while, playing with other children becomes a disappointing experience because the other children continue to ignore the child with autism, because the child with autism is unable, because of some other deficit, like speech, is unable to grab their attention. So playing with friends can be a punishing thing in that way.
Wow. That was a lot for us, a lot. I am so appreciative. Our viewers, I know today we did get a lot of hits and people are listening with their kids, wanting to remedy this situation or how they better live with their conditions, right? How can we, I noticed today that all of the participants and everyone skipped out the word medication. I am so proud of you guys. Everybody's just talking about strategies after strategies, right? And it's good to know that we can remedy. I know just this morning I said to someone who tells me, oh, I took 2 tablets and went to sleep. And I was like, when are you going to stop that behavior? You need to be able to sleep on your own. Right. Because after a while, you're becoming a psych, you're taking too much, you got to cut this out. So I am so glad that we're on that new trend, or trying to stay focused, not just listen to everything, but do our research. Okay, It didn't work, let's try what works, and keep all our tools in our toolboxes and be prepared. Like they said, if you don't have a squishy, you have your hands, you have your fingers. Let's count, let's rub temples, let's do something. There are things that we can do, and no one is responsible for your happiness. You got to find that happy place. And we got to teach those little ones, even with their autism, some of them are growing up to be doctors, engineers, lawyers. So we got to teach them, even as an adult, that this behavior can be, you can minimize it. You can find other way, replacement, replace those behavior with something else.
Awesome. Well, everyone, lots of information for you tonight to go back to your families, to be a better human being, better parent, sibling, teacher, etc. Right? We really appreciate our professionals, our guests, for coming on and sharing, giving up their Saturday evening, a little bit of it to share. Much love, and we definitely appreciate it. Thank you also for coming on and asking your questions on Facebook, on chat, etc. With that, we're going to wrap it all up. We wish you all a blessed weekend, safe, enjoy. Yes?
We want tell our viewers next week we'll be coming on with child abuse next week.
Yes. So next week is we're gonna do the child abuse awareness. So looking forward to that enlightenment. And again, all of this is for that education, right? So we can be better people, educators, everything, family members, support system, because we're all in this together. So with that, I would say good night, everyone. God bless you all.
Amen.
Until next time, we'll see you on Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. Have a good night.
Night. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too.
Night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. It was nice.